Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special Thursday edition of Tim's News Explosion. I decided, since so much has occurred here in Melbourne since the last news explosion on Monday evening, that rather than do another Wilmsfront interview program, another news explosion was needed. Well, you could call this a news earthquake, given what occurred yesterday morning in Melbourne. We are live as always on the Wilmsfront YouTube and DLive channels, as well as on the Entropy. Hello to all the regular commenters in the chat there. Savnik is there, and then we've got Kreshko here, got Origin here as well. So it is Thursday, I should say, the 23rd of September 2021. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, where, well, if you're thinking sort of about normal things, then the grand final long weekend begins tomorrow, except for the second year running. The grand final is not at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's over at Optus Stadium in Perth between two Melbourne teams, Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Last year, the grand final was at the Gabba, and between two Melbourne teams again, Richmond and Geelong. Richmond won the premiership that year. I recall that there was a small contingent of Richmond supporters who marched down Swan Street after the grand final, which was played at night. No matter which team wins on Saturday night, those supporters won't be able to go out for a walk to celebrate, because we still have that 9 p.m. curfew, and it's another night grand final. So the grand final finishes after curfew there. The old joke is that the Andrews government is the only government that's managed to lose two grand finals from the Melbourne Cricket Ground there. But leading up to today, and well, since the last Tim's News explosion. Okay, let's fast forward back to last Thursday. That's when Dan Andrews decided, because of all the cluster cases in construction sites, that tradies would have to get the jab by today. Well, their first jab, and their tea rooms would close. And construction workers, they're not the type to take such directions from anybody, and so they staged a smoko out on the roads that Friday. Then on Monday, they protested outside the CFMEU offices against their Victorian Secretary John Setka, for not fighting hard enough against the mandatory vaccine order for the construction industry there. And the CFMEU office was vandalized there, and then in response, the Andrews government rushed out a statement at 10 p.m. on Monday night, ordering all construction to close from Tuesday. And then what happened Tuesday? After the tradies went to construction workers, I should say, went to the CBD to collect all their tools. Then there was just protests and various spouts of violence all across the city, which culminated with them walking across the Westgate bridge, and Victoria Police, even though they called in the riot squad, they still couldn't stop the raging construction workers going all the way through the Westgate Freeway. There was thousands on Tuesday. On Wednesday, there was slightly less thousands, and I'd say less construction workers there. They were all over the CBD all day until the police cordoned them at the Shrine of Remembrance. And there was a standoff for many hours until the police, the riot squad, fired the tear gas and rubber beanbag bullets to disperse them. There was, well, as far as we know, not many people in the CBD protesting today, because there was a media blackout with allegedly Victoria Police scrambling live streaming capabilities. That's apparently a lot of people had problems live streaming from their phones. The real Rukshan wasn't live streaming today. Maybe he just took the day off, but he hasn't been arrested or silenced or anything like that. And for the first part of the day, the mainstream media aerial choppers were banned from having live footage from or airing live footage of the aerial areas of Melbourne, because apparently that's how the protesters were outmaneuvering the police. Hadron Anti-Bullying, another regular, says, where are the big protests that got covered up? Oh, we don't know, because we don't know what happened today exactly. And now, as I did on Monday's Tim's News Explosion, I'm going to bring in, he was there on the Monday protest filming, and he was also there on the Tuesday, Andy Nolch, the space cowboy. Andy, welcome back to Tim's News Explosion.
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Oh, well, it's what a week. It's just a whirlwind. How are you as well?
I'm all right, but yeah, so much has happened that when I went to go on this show, I thought it was like it'd been a week since I'd spoken to you, but it's only been 2-3 days. So much has gone down.
Where were you when the quake happened? And before you knew it was an earthquake, what did you think it was?
Do you want to try and guess what I thought it was?
What is it? Aliens or some sort of super Vicpol weapon?
Yeah. The second one. I thought it was like, that was my initial thought. It was like, because it seemed like an airplane flying over, or like a helicopter, like the way that the windows. I was just at home, and like the windows were sort of like shaking, and it was like a big truck going by. So I kind of thought like either some big tank or some chopper or something was coming to get me or something for a few seconds. But then I just thought, nah, this is probably an earthquake, because it reminded me of the one I remember experiencing in 2012, but it was just stronger. And then I just went back to
2012.
That's a lot. That's the only other quake I remember, and it was just like
Melbourne.
Yeah. I remember the desks moving, and it's kind of like feels like you're on a ship. But this one was definitely stronger than that. And so then I was just like, yeah, it's just the same thing. And so I just went straight back to my normal stuff, because I wasn't in a tall apartment building, which I would be worried about being in. So yeah.
Well, I'll admit where I was. I was on the toilet at the time. The toilet next to my bedroom is upstairs, and at the house next to us, there's been landscaping work going on with heavy machinery. Landscaping is still allowed to continue under stage 4. It's not. It hasn't been covered by the construction ban. So I thought that, yeah, maybe it was the heavy machinery, or maybe they'd crashed into our house, or maybe maybe there was a plumbing episode which was making the place shake. And or maybe the second floor was collapsing as well, because there's been a few creaks in my bedroom, which has made me paranoid that the floor's about to give way. But then I got the news alert. I think the first news alert I got was from the Guardian that it was an earthquake, and I was like, oh, that what that was.
Yeah, well, it was pretty unusual, and the timing of it. Like, I don't mean to be conspiratorial, but if you look at it, there's a lot of strange things about the timing of that and stuff. And the government can create earthquakes. So I don't think we'll ever find out. But it just, I don't think it's a ridiculous suggestion to float the idea that it was possibly a way to distract from the protests, because Vic Pol and stuff, they really don't want these protests happening. Did you hear? I know you mentioned this just before, but I didn't quite get what you said. But was there something about Facebook blocking live streams from protests today or something?
Oh, well, that's one of the, I would say, sort of rumors, theories circulating around Telegram and Facebook, given that I think we saw, I couldn't see any live streams today. Rakshan Fernando, the real Rakshan, he wasn't live streaming. I don't believe that Rebel News Australia was, and I didn't see any others. So
well, I just think that's because there probably wasn't a protest on today, because they can only occur when there's large numbers. Otherwise, the attendees have to remain disguised, and they can only all boom together in one big group. But I don't think there was enough people, because I just think that it's hard for attendees to keep on going to these things and doing 3 days in a row on top of stuff on Saturday and the Friday. I think it just couldn't last for that long. So I think that there was probably only a few hundred people in the CBD or something like that, and they could never quite get into a strong enough group. So that's why I think there was no live streams. But my sister just mentioned to me before the same thing about live streams being blocked. So that's why I thought it was interesting that you were mentioning it, because I thought, huh? But think about it. I mean, it does make a lot of sense. I mean, I'm surprised that Rear Ruction has been allowed to go for as long as he has.
Well, there's been, I think, almost like 100,000 watching his daily live streams on Facebook, and I noticed, I think his one from the other day had close to 2 million views, and he was on Fox News the other night on the Ingram angle. So he's been going for like 5-6 hours per day from Monday to Wednesday up until today, which is an incredible effort, incredible stamina by him. I know there's been a lot of people worried that the authorities would take him out and charge him and silence him and take his equipment. But I think for Victoria Police to do that, that would just that would be an even more worse position.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think this is all a propaganda game, and I think Dan Andrews is losing numbers and stuff. It's all about minds, and more and more people are waking up, and they're not they don't even have to be attending these events, but they can be watching it, and their minds are getting unlocked. And I think it also assists people who want to attend these protests. They can see, see and hear where the protests are, so they can join in, because they might be in the area or something like that. So it's from the police point of view, I mean, really, they should just be. I don't want to encourage them, but they should just be slapping the cuffs on Rukshan and just like shutting it down. Really, and I guess he's a brave guy that he's willing to go and do that. You made a mistake at the start. You said I was at the bridge thingo on Tuesday. I went to the I went to the end of the protest on Monday, just after the building got smashed. It actually happened while I was on the way there driving. So sadly, I came too late, so I didn't get to film anything. But there was some good footage from that. But I got to film after the front building got smashed. And not too much happened after that, but I got some good footage of some people, like a girl with a loudspeaker, saying the truth about the situation. So, yeah, it seems that I want to mention to you that it seems that the like what I'm saying, it's a battle for the mind and stuff. It seems that the freedom movement is winning over a lot of people's minds, and it's starting to reach that 100 monkey effect. Do you know the 100 monkey effect? Have you heard of that?
Well, because Victoria Police were so slow to move in on the Monday, the CFMEU office protests, like, they got pretty heated, and there was property damage, and what was it? Even a dog was kicked, which was absolutely disgusting, abhorrent. But that had been going on for hours until the riot police turned up, and I think a lot of people watching, particularly the live streams, it's like, hey, like, were like, they were sort of like inspired that this hadn't been shut down, and that's where it took a life on its own. And it's because Victoria Police let it go on for several hours on the Monday that then the dedicated anti-lockdown activists, people like Lizzie Rose and Rafael Fernandez and Jeff O'Toole, they came along as well.
Yeah, on Monday they seemed to go with a peaceful tactic, and then towards the end of the day, it led to that violence with the building getting smashed. So maybe they're a bit concerned about just letting the crowd be, because something might occur where things get damaged. But yeah. So anyway, I was asking you about the 100th monkey effect. Have you heard about that?
I'll explain it for our audience.
Okay, so when there was like an experiment done or something on an island, and they had a monkey that would like wash clams in the water or something to like eat it, and one of them would just wash the clam and eat it, and then another one learnt it, and another one learnt it, and when they'd got to like 100 monkeys that learnt how to wash the clam in the water and eat it, monkeys that were on another island that weren't in communication with the monkeys on the first island, they just started washing their clams and eating it. So it was like a collective hive mind thing where this idea of washing clams and eating it got unlocked, and it in the monkey brain, and they all just started doing it regardless of what location. And it reminds me a bit of the freedom movement. It's like once one person wakes up, it makes it easier for another person and another person, and then we reach some point where it's like critical mass and the 100th monkey effect, and then suddenly everyone's waking up and going, yeah, what the hell's going on with COVID? And they start questioning everything. And so I think we're at this point where the government was trying to stop this 100th monkey effect of the awakening to COVID, right? And I think that it's failed, and I think we've passed the 100th monkey point, and now heaps of people are waking up, and I think these groups are absolutely these Telegram groups and stuff are booming, and I think that the anti-COVID movement is absolutely booming at the moment, and I think that the communist world government and these freaking communists and lefties who are running all this crap, I think they're starting to freak out because they're really losing at all this sort of stuff.
Well, as I was saying, the police seem to have a victory today by, well, if the theory is correct that they scrambled live streaming, then, and also it was lifted by the federal court, the ban over the mainstream media live streaming aerial footage, but because nobody saw what was going on in the CBD today, the mainstream media just reported, oh, no one was here, and say everyone at home thinks, well, it's over now that they ran out of steam. That's that. We'll go ahead with our jab appointment for the long weekend.
Yeah, hey, that could be a thing. By the way, Erickson wants to join the discussion. But can I quickly say something? That could be a thing, but this thing I'm talking about where everyone starts waking up. Like, obviously the hardcore lefties are never going to wake up because they're so invested in their minds are taken over by evil or something. They're really bizarre, these communists. But the average person, you know what I mean, is just waking up. And so regardless of if not as many people attended, like clearly not as many people attended the protest today as yesterday, as long as people are awake, that's what will derail the whole COVID program. It's pretty much just mass disobedience, because I don't think that Dan Andrews will ever backpedal. I don't think he will suddenly say, no, you don't have to get the jab. Yeah, we're going to lift the lockdown. It seems like his tactic is more to double down on things. But if the civilians don't follow his rules, then what can he do? You know what I mean? If his puppet, you know,
like, he is emboldened because, well, there was a news poll the other day that still said he's popular, but he's now got the position, like, the vaccination rate. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of lockdown. So it's either like the jab, or I'm going to continue the lockdown.
We can make him. Well, I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything, but like, if enough people are awake, then he'll end up losing his power. You know what I mean? And especially if it's people who are awake who will work for government forces and stuff like that, he just won't be able to do anything.
They're still getting their paycheck, the government people. So, like,
they can still, if we start winning over their minds, then they won't do as good a job in enforcing dictator Dan's dictatorship.
The ones that, like the public servants who work from home, I mean, they just enforce Dan's orders on Twitter. That's about all they do. You know that account, the PR guy who's got the photo of Troy McClure?
No.
Oh, okay, but he's Dan's biggest shill. Nobody's been able to pinpoint who he is, but just, has thought that Vic Poll were awesome with everything that they did this week.
Well, I want to say something quickly. That I think 2 of the vaccination centres in the CBD, they've shut them down for the next few days, and they did that because the workers were upset about the abuse that they were receiving.
Alleged abuse. There's been no footage of anti-vax protesters spitting at vaccine stuff or nurses, nor has there been any evidence of protesters urinating at the Shrine of Remembrance. In fact, the only urine that was spotted at the shrine was a police horse urinating. So
yeah, well, with this the vaccination centres being shut down, I want to say that's a win. But I'm a little bit sus about that. Like, is that because the staff possibly, like, started to wake up or something like that? What they heard, or
I think maybe it's because we have no evidence that this spitting of the workers occurred.
Yeah, but also,
I think it could be a psyop to get the normies back on side to say, look how disgusting these anti-vax protesters are, that they're treating people like that. And so we've had to close the vax center, so we can't administer vaccines this weekend, which means our target reopening date is going to be blown out thanks to these people, like to scapegoat them, saying that the reason we're going to still be in lockdown is because they shut down the vaccination center.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's probably what they did, because I was thinking, like, okay, well, I was thinking with the abuse, it was more verbal, which I'm sure it was. I'm sure it wasn't anything physical, but it would have just been verbal yellings and stuff. But for that to upset them so much that they need to take off, like, what, 4 days or something like that, that to me seems strange, because I heard on the radio and I was like, oh, what, they're just so upset about a crowd walking past and yelling out stuff. It's like, come on. But that teams up with them showing, like, the Shrine and making out the crowd to be thugs, like they did in the Herald Sun paper, and that they're wanting more excuses to just shut down the protests.
I mean, there was some thuggery from the protesters that was captured on camera. They're kicking the dog, and also was it Paul Dowsley from Channel 7 was assaulted twice. First, he had, he was like grabbed and then had urine chucked on him, and then he was had a beer bottle thrown at his.
I know, but he's a known enemy, if you know what I mean, of the crowd. I mean,
Paul Dowsley is one of the better mainstream reporters, and even if
I know, but it's who he
represents. No excuse for assaulting him. Neil, do you want to jump in with about because Paul Dowsley has proven himself one of the better mainstream reporters.
I know he's one of the better ones, but as in, it's like a Nazi rocking up to a leftist rally. I mean, is she asking for problems? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Paul's a good journalist, man. Like, if you watch all these stories, like, I'll give shit to journalists. Don't worry about that. But Paul, he's actually one of the last kind of, I wouldn't say he's right wing or left wing, but he's definitely fair. But I do understand the argument Nolchi's putting across. He does represent the fake news media, but I don't know. I like the guy, so I kind of feel bad for him. I think it was a bit full on.
Yeah, violence shouldn't be. And it's just something that it gave the media, the fake news media, a chance to actually show real news of some violence and stuff. So
if it was Jody Lee, I'd be cheering from the rooftops.
You attacked her with your voice by yelling into a microphone one time.
Who do you think you are, Donald Trump? But if you look up Jody Lee on Google, man, there was an incident that she had. It's interesting. She went on a Qantas flight and she put her feet up and laid back, and she was being, how do I say? She was being very obnoxious, etc. And then they told her to kind of behave herself. She said, "I work for Channel 7. I'm famous." So she's one of these empty-headed thoughts, Jody Lee, and that other one, she's on primetime now. She's kind of pretty. I think she's Lebanese.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I confronted her at the Melbourne Magistrates Court one day when she walked past, and Blair was doing. I think Blair was doing a interview with you, Tim, and she walked past and she went blah 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 blah, and I said, "Show some respect, mate." You know, this is not everyone.
I wasn't there. It's always the case with these like bimbo court reporters. There's always the white knight photographer. Hey, wasn't there a bimbo reporter at the Australian who said that you were there on Tuesday?
Yeah, the Australian Revy. Her name's Remy.
No, it wasn't her. It was some other.
No, I found out it actually was her. He helped her with the article, so both their names are on it. But she actually wrote that particular article. She's the same one who writes all the articles on Tom Sewell. Remy Varg.
She stopped writing them after Tom and like the NSN Telegram channel kept memeing her, and then she stopped for quite a bit.
Well, she said I was there at the pro. She can get me in trouble. I'm on bail, man. Like, I'm 2.5 hours away, busy, and I see a Australian article. It says Neil Erickson, far-right extremist. Yeah, Remy Varga. Thanks, Hadrian. And she said, I was there, mate. She can get me into trouble for that. So I said, get your fucking shit together. I sent him an email. And then she changed it to neo-Nazi Proud Boy was there.
Yeah. She believes that the Proud Boys are neo-Nazis.
Well, yeah, I don't know about Proud Boys. They're too extreme for me, to be honest.
And yeah, Colin is right that all of these bimbo news reporters who've attacked patriots, they all work for News Corp. Amazingly, apparently the News Corp press, according to Twitter, is the one who incited the riots and should be charged by Victoria Police along with Roxanne and Avi for incitement.
Yeah, but it's not just like politics. These women, and obviously, Noel, you would have seen them. Tim, I'm sure you would have seen them at many court cases. Yeah, I don't think I was mistaken for hillbilly. Come on, man, I'm not that heavy yet. But yeah, they go to these court cases, and like whether or not you like criminals or not, everyone finds themselves. Well, a lot of people find themselves in front of the courts for whatever reasons, and they sit up the back of the courtroom and just mock these people. They're like little schoolgirls. Like that's how they conduct themselves at court cases. They're like little gossipers, and they sit at the back of the court case. It's someone's horrible day. And a lot of us not even like that African guy who he got that expensive car, and he said he got it from that underworld figure. He was joking, he was trolling. Like they ripped him to shreds. Like leave the guy alone, man. Yeah, he's not there for like anything major, from what I know. And they just sit there and they pick at people, and they get off on it. These people are assholes, bro. And there's another one who works for Sky News now. She's a newsreader. She come out and called me a convicted racist. I've never been convicted of racism ever in my life. And she got off on that. I put a complaint in. I was actually going to sue. And because I did that, they made another article asserting that. So they just sit there and they try and pick at people. They're bullies, man.
Yeah, they're the worst quality people. And this is how the government creates some propaganda. They don't necessarily walk up to someone and go, hey, I need you to write this propaganda. They hire people who are already going to just put out propaganda because that's how they naturally think.
And the ones that they hire, they know that they need to write the propaganda to get ahead, to be whatever editor.
Yeah, but also they're
Sky News.
Yeah, some are doing it to get ahead, but also some of them, they just naturally think like that. Like at ABC, a lot of them, like I'm sure there is some talk backstage that's like, you know what, we have to scare people into getting the jab or something like that. But a lot of the time they don't even have to do that. The people there are just that type of person. They just got the leftist hive mind, you know.
The female reporter who was the court wasn't open at the time, but sat in on the WebEx hearings of your religious worship cases, that Anika Simmons. She was the one this week that actually broke the story of the tradie who took his own life after the construction shutdown was announced. He tragically jumped off a building shortly after being ordered to down the tools, which was absolutely tragic. He was of Croatian heritage, I believe. So emergency services were called to the Spencer Street address following discovery of a man's body.
Yeah, I understand why these things are happening. I felt sad today because I was just like, this is just so epic what's going on, and it pushes the emotions, and it's just like we're in a war.
Well, we don't know his story. See, I was thinking about that guy when I heard the news, and you don't know whether this guy is like missed his mortgage payments, like, and this was just the last nail in the coffin. You know, he's just like, fuck it, like. He's probably, obviously, he's going through a traumatic time with this construction industry, and that would have been the last nail in the coffin. Like, we don't know his story. His story could be crazy. It could be he's, lost his family, or due to not having enough money to pay the mortgage. Like that's what it seems like to me. I mean, I am guessing, but it sounds like that.
Yeah, well, I definitely have heard of more people that have been damaged by the jab and have suicided have been harmed by COVID.
Hey, put up your hand if you've had the vaccination.
I've had, in my audience now, I've had one jab, but
Well, you can't see me. I'm doing a Roman salute, but I'm not putting on my hand for the COVID jab. But I heard Marg had a double vax now. So there you go, Tim. You got a friend. You and Marg now.
Yeah, you're 2IC, Ricky T. I heard that he's flirting with getting the jab.
He's not getting it, mate. He's not getting it. Trust me.
Have you warned him that it turns you gay?
He's already gay, so it might help him out. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I think you're incorrect. And Marg, yes, you did. You told me the other day. Stop lying.
Well, she hasn't told me that she's had the jab.
I called up 3AW today because I want to mention some of the police brutality because I saw footage of
Well, let's play some of the footage. There is I think this is from today. We did get some footage from today because the Victoria Police, they were just arresting anyone who had high vis.
They're on the ground! They're on the ground! They're on the ground! On the ground! Easy, easy. All right, get the eye gouging now. I ain't fucking resisting. You fucking eye gouged me, you fucking dog. You fucking eye gouged me. You fucking eye gouged me. Mommy, sir, keep mommy. I'm all right.
But Tim, there's footage that's a lot worse than this one.
Yeah, there's which because
yeah, I think Tim's got a whole Rolodex of it.
Which one do you want me to play next?
Well, I saw the one that looks like someone's at Flinders Street Station and he just got slammed into the ground, and that to me was just the most brutal thing I've seen out of all the violence.
That's akin to a coward punch. Have you got that, Tim?
It's worse than that. I mean,
yeah, I've got that. We don't know the context of this.
Well, the context is in the video, Tim. Let's be honest. Like, the guy's got his hands at his side. He's talking. He doesn't look, violent.
He doesn't look like he's being violent to them. He looks like he's talking to him. I don't even know if he was a protester. He could be a homeless person. I don't know what, but that was just shocking, and that's why I called the radio station. And guess what they did? They censored it, so I couldn't go to air and talk.
Oh
yeah,
shit!
That's something that would get that's something that would get me like 6 years jail.
Yeah. So apparently this is going to be investigated by police professional standards, but let's not hold our breath because they let.
So they investigate themselves. So can us as a nationalist group investigate ourselves?
They let the head stomping police officer of that mentally ill man last year get away with it. They said it was reasonable force because he was going crazy in the same when the officer hit him with the police car. So this is the article, accompanying article here. So I'll just go. I'll just talk about the first one. So it says here the video, which police say they're investigating, is being spread on social media. Goes further down here. The poor guy was calm. He was just talking to the police. The woman who posted the footage, you can see it in the video, gets thrown to the ground. You can hear his face hit the tiles. He was unconscious, blood and urine everywhere. The woman who posted the video, whose colleague recorded the footage, told news.com.au the man was unconscious for a while. When he woke up, he was calling for his mum. The woman who wanted to remain anonymous said the police officer took the man down, handcuffed him while he was unconscious. Paramedics did attend, but reportedly were told by police they were not needed.
That was just so brutal. I mean, you don't get those sort of things in football because you hit grass and you just. I mean, that is just that's much worse than the rubber bullets. But the reason I wanted to mention 3AW is because they're censoring the calls in. They're favoritizing, people who are for the system and stuff like that. And if you're bringing up stuff that they don't want people to know about, they hang up on you and they go, oh yeah, blah blah, and then they hang up.
No, they've been doing that for years, bro.
Yeah.
It's been, 3AW is
No,
very
but I
selective.
just want people to know that, because it's just like when you tune into these things, especially obviously ABC and stuff, but there's so much propaganda and it seems so friendly and nice and stuff, and you don't realize how manipulated it all is.
And this is a still photo that was posted today, which could be from today, of remember Victoria Police pepper spraying that elderly lady from the weekend. I noticed there's some disinformation going around that apparently it wasn't an old woman in that wig, it was a 30-year-old man, but apparently that still makes it okay for VicPol to knock, if it was a 30-year-old man, to knock him out and then spray him on the ground. That's some of the disinformation that is going out. So here, this guy just looks like he's sitting there, like he could be a homeless man just having a coffee or something. And then you got two officers there pepper spraying them. And what is it with these police officers?
And he's a person. He's a person of color as well.
Yeah, like what's with these officers? Like they haven't had their masks on properly for the past week. Isn't that why Dan's shut down the construction industry, because tradies weren't wearing their masks properly?
He shut it down because of the protests. I don't buy all that shit that they're saying. They had a bad record with the health organization, the rules, but he banned it directly after the protest. There's payback, resist me, and I'll shut you down. He gets off on it, mate. Did you see him? What was it? You would have seen it, Tim. It was a couple of weeks ago where he said, it's going to be a beautiful day on Sunday, but don't go out of your house. Like, he's getting off on the power trip, mate. Yeah,
because what is it? People watching the sunset at Back Beach, and apparently you can get COVID from the sunset. So the mainstream media, they've gone into overdrive tonight, because apparently somebody who attended the protest yesterday is already in hospital with COVID.
Yeah, as they claim, a leader. Who was that?
No, they just said somebody who was there.
Yeah, but they said it's the leader on the news tonight. It's the leader of one of the leaders. Who? Name them. Why not name them? Because there's nobody. There's probably someone.
I can't even think of who it would be. If it's a leader, we would at least know the leader's name, wouldn't we?
Well, there's only one leader. It's Rushcan. And he's not in hospital.
It wasn't Thomas Sewell the leader when they were reporting it was neo-Nazis organizing it on Monday. Now I know that the narrative has changed, that it's like, no, it hasn't been organized by far-right extremists, neo-Nazis and anti-vaxxers, but they brainwashed our union members to not take the jab instead of listening to us and the science. Basically trying to imply our members, our union members, are too stupid to know what's good for them. They haven't been listening to us smart people. They've been listening to these crazy people.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of people have been telling me, go to the rally and shit. I won't say who, but a lot of people have been telling me to go. Mate, if I went on Monday, Tuesday, or even Wednesday, and the media got a photo of me, that would have sealed the deal for the conspiracy, yeah? If Blair went, if any of us went, yeah, the only person that went is Lyndon, and Lyndon used to be part of the UPF, but Lyndon's been a tradie since, he was 16 years old. He's a painter. He's worked in union jobs in the city for years. So he has a right to go. Just because he may have political ideologies doesn't make him far right. Who were the far right people that were there? Where's the evidence? There's no evidence. It's all bullshit.
Apparently, the Nazi white supremacist protesters of Melbourne. So there's the ethnic Nazis, the Jewish Nazi. He was actually called himself a Jewish Nazi. Remember? There's the black white supremacists, the Samoan Nazis. Another.
Harvey was actually ejected from the rally yesterday, from what I heard. So
I haven't heard that.
I heard that he got sandbagged by a bunch of lebos, calling him a Zionist, and then he had to stand behind the police lines.
I think it would have been more believable if they'd used the whole thing that it's all these QAnon people and stuff.
Yeah, that was thrown around.
I know they should have ran with that more, but I think to the brainwashed, I guess average person, it doesn't sound as mean as Nazis. So I think they wanted a more nasty word,
Yeah, their narrative like changed throughout the week when because this is the thing, they just said, what is it, extreme right wing groups were there. They didn't name anyone, like you said, they didn't name the leader tonight, but there is like the union leaders. They just assume that all of their members, what is it? They all hold far left positions. That they, what is it? They burn the Australian flag on Australia Day, and what is it? They happy with their children being taught safe schools and that sort of thing. That's what they seem to assume their members are. But there's a lot of right wing union members, including the Versace cowboy. Well, up until yesterday, he was a member of the Electrical Trades Union, and they put out a statement condemning the protesters. And so this is what he wrote to the ETU. Fuck you, cunts. I'm resigning. You cuck pussies don't deserve a cent of my money ever again. I've called, left a voicemail because you commie bastard sellouts didn't answer. I am not at the protest. I repeat, I'm not at the protest, but I fully support these workers' rights. You keep sucking their weekly or yearly dues while you fuck them in the ass. By the way, I'm the guy who left the voicemail with my name and membership number telling you guys to suck my rebel dick. Good luck in hell.
Hey, how did he spell Jews?
Sorry, Jews, D-U-E-S.
Okay, I thought it was something else. No, good on him, mate. But what I find amazing is when because I've been in unions before in warehousing. I worked in warehousing for like 20 odd years nearly. This is what I find crazy. You got Sally McManus.
Yeah.
They've already done the calculations and they figured out that it's only 10% of their union members that have this position, yeah? And they're willing to lose them. When I was in the union, and I was pretty close to the union many years ago, I was almost a union rep, they represent all workers whether you're a union member or not. It's always been the line. Like, doesn't matter if you're a union member, we'll protect you. And then you become a union member when they help you out.
Yeah, Setka in response, he's identifying union members who attended Monday's protest outside the office and getting them sacked from their employers. So isn't a union supposed to stop unfair dismissal? But now the CFMEU is now leading to make unfair dismissals. So they're now.
Can I mention something that's interesting? When there were the Melbourne media and stuff were claiming that some of these protesters were Nazis or like a vague word like other groups with different intentions. I was listening to the Sydney Channel 7 News, and they actually said that it was rent-a-crowd. So some of the protests was rent-a-crowd. And so I thought, oh, that's interesting. I mean, their propaganda isn't even lining up. And I just thought, wow.
There's no, what is it, right wing or, alt-right, far-right Soros to hire a rent-a-crowd or...
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that they flare up the protesters more by saying just rude things like rent-a-crowd and Nazi and other groups. And then after the Shrine, that they're using the idea that they're not even protesters. They're just saying they're thugs that just want to cause violence or want to have an excuse to protest. And you're not going to come across people that are more caring and more there for what they believe in. I'm pretty sure they're not looking for an excuse to damage things. And if that's what they wanted to do, and they didn't do much of a good job of being a thug. It seems that at the Shrine they were putting their bottles and stuff into plastic bags and showing respect to the site. But as the cops came in to shoot the protesters with rubber bullets, they had to flee in a hurry. So some of the rubbish was left behind, but that was totally caused by the police shooting at them.
Well, yeah, there's going to be rubbish if you're firing, foam beanbag bullets. I mean, that's going to leave quite a mess. And also, what is it, if like they're using other, tear gas or all of those things as well, that's going to make a bit of a mess as well. But I couldn't stand all they had a whole bunch of like RSL leaders saying, how dare they use this shrine to protest? It's a sacred site, like it belongs to them, like that what they believe the shrine represents is the end thing. And so the shrine means different things to different people. But I couldn't believe some of the Twitter lefty blue drops saying, how dare they desecrate that site? Dude, you're the ones who at Invasion Day, Anti-Australia Day rallies all the time, and now you're getting high and mighty about the shrine.
That's a good point. Exactly. And there was at least 2 veterans actually there with medals and stuff like that. So, because their idea of fighting for Australia was fighting for what we've always had for the past, I guess, 200 years. And that is a lot of freedom, really, and a proper legal system and stuff that isn't some sort of communist dictatorship police state. And so it was actually super disrespectful of Victoria Police to unleash their weapons and dictator Dan's goons to go in there and do that stuff to that sacred site, because those diggers, they fought so that wouldn't happen to the Australian citizens, and they pulled out the army as well that day.
They didn't have the army there yesterday. A lot of people thought that they saw army uniforms take somebody away, but it was actually the VicPol special operations unit, because VicPol, they've been like building up their arms for ages. I think I've got the footage.
Yeah, from what I know, Tim, from what I've investigated, those officers, if you got the video, yeah, chuck it up.
I'll just be Brad. I'll just be here coming over, yeah?
The guy's wearing high vis.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, so from what I've researched into who they are, I've spoke to a couple of ex-serving army, etc. But the uniform code of Victoria Police is very strict. Like a police unit can't just wear what they want, yeah? So they've got that uniform. They have to wear that uniform. Now, from what I've heard, they're counter-terrorism police. They're the ones that they call out for terrorist incidents or sieges. And the only way that they could have been called out is if the Premier, Daniel Andrews, or the Chief Commissioner, or the Attorney General had to declare it a terrorist situation. That's the only way they could have used it, from what I've heard. So somebody in private, in the bureaucracy, has declared this as a terrorist incident. But getting back to what Nolchi was saying before, what the diggers fall for, we're told we live in a liberal democracy, and we're told that a liberal democracy, one of the key principles is protest, the right to protest. And this is a humanitarian crisis. And I've seen some news articles from America that the Republicans are actually calling to boycott Australia and to put sanctions on us for the treatment of these people. This is insane. You can't do this in a liberal democracy. Like, I'm not supportive of a liberal democracy, but this is what they claim we live in. The other thing is we have no Bill of Rights in Australia, and I think it's, like I mentioned at the last stream I was on, I think it's great that people actually realise that we have no rights in this country, because it's showing the world how corrupt our system is. You know, people, we have free speech, we have this. No, we don't have anything. We have no Bill of Rights.
Well, after the police go through, trawl all through their footage, because at all of these rallies, there's always the coppers who have the GoPro and that. There'll be all the various knocks at the doors, arrests, giving them $100,000 fines, whatever the fine amount is now. So there'll be follow-ups, knocks at the door in the coming days.
Yeah, and I heard them say that they're scouring through the footage on the freeway because those freeway cameras. Sorry, I just heard something. I thought it might be another earthquake. Those freeway cameras have good zoom capabilities, and it just sort of reminded me of what Alex Jones would say, where he's like those cameras, they can zoom in or whatever, they're high quality and they listen to you and shit like that.
There was also, I think this was on the Tuesday, this disturbing footage of this injured construction worker.
My skull is cracked.
What's your name?
Kyle Mitchell.
And now, thankfully, this guy, Kyle Mitchell, he's okay. Well, when I say okay, he had to get stitches in his head, but he's alive. Thank God. There, he looks a lot better there. But yeah, this is the scary thing.
It's so brutal because, you know, if somebody draws offensive graffiti, they get treated like they'd done something like what they'd done physically to that guy on the floor with blood all over his face. It's just outrageous. And yeah, people in America are shocked about what's going on because they have more COVID cases and they're not in lockdown, and they're just like, they're not having what's going on here. And
yeah,
I think
they can't believe that we're in this draconian lockdown for like less than 1,000 cases per day, and what is it? What is it? We had 4 deaths today. What is it? The lockdown it's going terribly because what is it? Dan Andrews locked down after 1 case. What is it? 50 days ago, and we're at 766 today. It just keeps going up and up.
Yeah, and people in Queensland, that's like central and north Queensland, it's kind of more like America up there. And I spoke to a friend there today, and he's just like, "What the hell?" And we're here and we're thinking, "What the hell?" as well. But they can't imagine what it's like, and I just think that it does make you feel like you're going crazy, or it is quite disturbing. You know, you got to. Well, I do meditation and stuff like that, but you know, I mean, it is just, this is like some sort of war zone.
Well, what is it? Queensland has a lot of like boomers and retirees. They think that Melbourne is horrible because like people are getting really sick and dying with COVID. The same in Sydney. Apparently, according to Gladys Berejiklian, you can be fine in the morning and then like suddenly need a ventilator by the evening. And what is it? These people that are dying at home they find out after they die that apparently they've had COVID. Apparently they're just fine, and then all of a sudden like, oh, can't breathe.
Well, what the problem is, people have been dying from the flu for years. It's been happening. Like nursing homes, I know people who have worked in nursing homes, etc. Before COVID, prior to COVID, people would die from the flu, but they wouldn't write the flu on the death certificate. It'd be pneumonia, because that's what happens after the flu. This happens all the time. And look, I do concede that it probably is a little bit worse than the normal flu. But if you're healthy, if you're not obese, or you don't have any underlying issues, you're fine. And to basically mandate everyone stay in their homes to protect, a couple of thousand people, which sounds horrible. But think about this. We had 1,099 deaths in 2020 on our roads from car accidents, etc. So let's just ban cars. Like if we're going to use that mentality, there's a lot of things that we can change to save lives.
Why hasn't hard hats been made mandatory indoors because of the earthquake? Because there was there were so many hypochondriacs after the earthquake yesterday. It was the most terrifying experience of my life. And then there's we could have aftershocks in the next 6 months, which could basically a whole new round of attention seekers saying it was so frightening.
I think we were pretty lucky at how minimal damage it was and how not bad it was. I mean, it was pretty cool, really.
Well, the main damage was in Chapel Street. A lot of the old buildings there.
Yeah, but they would have fallen apart with a strong gust of wind. You could tell that the brickwork's obviously terrible. It would have been all over Melbourne. But I was woken up from the earthquake. It was pretty full on. I went for like a minute and a half. But I don't think you comparing the earthquake to what I compared with the cars is kind of a bit hyperbolic. But if you look at the actual death ratio, that's what we're looking at, the death ratio. There's so many deaths, etc.
Like, we're living in absurd times. So I'm just making the point that, like, any sort of natural occurrence now, it's got to be like like everything's got to be zero risk now, according to the public health fascists, both in government and on Twitter.
Hey, there's 100% death rate for humans. 100%. Everyone dies. This is what people are so spoiled these days. Like, people used to die in the old days in their 20s or 30s. That's why they used to have a concept called elders. They would have an old guy who survived all the wars, because the whole generations would go to war over nothing. And people are so spoiled these days. They want to live to you're 95 wearing a nappy like someone we know, Tim. Do you really want to live that long? Do you really want to be?
I think that, like, endless jabs of various things and medications of substances will keep them alive forever. Just breaking tonight is that, speaking of how death is inevitable, John Elliott, former president of the Carlton Football Club and father of radio personality Tom Elliott, has died aged 79. He'd been sick for a while. As far as we know, it's not COVID related. It's just, he was sick and he was old.
Yeah, he was the president of the Carlton Football Club, wasn't he?
Yeah, back in the 80s and 90s. I think he was also Liberal Party president in the 80s.
Guys, let's all talk about the grand final that everyone's talking about.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that, but
no, I'm trolling. No one's talking about it, bro.
Yeah, I know. I heard the emergency powers ends today.
No, they can just keep renewing the state of emergency, but the state of emergency extension expires in December. And Dan Andrews is secretly negotiating permanent pandemic laws with the Three Stooges on the front bench, the crossbench in the upper house. Fiona.
Yeah, he's in the process of drafting them, I've heard.
Yeah. Because They're Fiona Patton, Samantha Ratnam from the Greens, and Andy Medic from.
Well, Fiona Patton was a prostitute at some stage, wasn't she? Isn't that?
Yeah. That's true. She was previously a lobbyist for the sex industry. But like they've built that they're building that quarantine camp at Mickleham, and like they obviously are going to use it. So they need some laws to decide who's going to go there.
Tim, you can also call it Nolte's gone. You can also call it a concentration camp. You can, because concentration camp literally means concentrating human beings in one area. So you are intellectually allowed to call it a concentration camp.
Well, a lot of people have already compared it to that, but those sorts of comparisons, they really upset Devere Abramovich, who thinks it's so offensive to compare anything that's occurring now to what happened in 1930s Europe. I mean, he even got offended at that hilarious remix matrix of Gladys Berejiklian, because Remix Matrix made Gladys Berejiklian say, "We're about to announce what we call the final solution because we're inspired by history." Everyone thought it was funny, that video, that Remix Matrix, except for Devere.
Well, Devere, I heard he got so offended. This is what he gets offended about. He had gas heating in his house, and he actually got some tradies to come in and take it out. He got so offended. So now it's all electric heating. So, the guy's got some issues.
And he's also, he believes in following the rules, but he's not that mad when his own Jewish flock break the rules. He's more mad that that a few people react with anti-Semitic remarks. That's you got to follow the rules. But if Jews break the rules, like the anti-Semitic response by a few is that's way worse than rule breaking itself.
I was actually going to ask Nolchi a question tonight. That reminded me of it. So, Nolch, when they ban the swastika, is there going to be a massive swastika painted on the grass in some major Victorian park?
Isn't it already
Do you see that happening?
Isn't it already banned?
Not yet. January, I think.
Yes. Yeah. What is it?
Really? I thought it was illegal and stuff. Or
was the penis that you drew, was it cut or uncut?
It was snipped.
Okay, so it was what is it? It wasn't so it was Jewish? You could call it a Jewish penis then. So it was classified as anti-Semitic.
Yeah, otherwise it might look like a submarine or something like that. By the way, today I went to the shops and I noticed that there was some construction work going on. Do you know what the deal is with these rules and stuff? Or
it could be an emergency.
Oh, emergency, yeah. And I was thinking it's kind of like the mask rule where it's like people can just break wearing masks. So imagine people who are building a house can just get around breaking it, and just continue working.
Well, what is it? Yeah, the police they're not doing what they did last year. In basically choking people for not wearing masks. I think they're still doing that in New South Wales and Queensland. What is it? There was a guy who had a heart attack when they apprehended him for not wearing a mask.
Yeah, last year, I remember seeing gangs of police going around the shopping centre and stuff. And apparently, for the second lockdown last year, it was hard to drive places. You would actually get pulled over and stuff. I think I got pulled over during the first lockdown. But I noticed that this year there's a different theme to it. They're not
just going after the hardcore anti-lockdown activists, and they've managed to jail for a short period a few, and have tried to get strict bail conditions put on them. And one of those was Monica Schmidt, but she is a free woman now. There she is, reunited with her love, Morgan Jonas. So she appealed her bail conditions to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court justice agreed to drop the curfew against her, and the order for her to delete everything on RDA that could be deemed incitement. So she's back out of, the Dame Phyllis Frost Centre Corrections Facility.
Yeah, and what do you know about her bail conditions? I'd love to find out what they are.
Well, she already did a video which has been posted on the that's a terrible image. RDA website there. I won't play it. Goes for 6 minutes there. She still looks pretty good, even though that's her first stint in prison.
How good does it feel when you get out, Nolch?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you're going to be looking good. But she was only 22 days, so it's
she wouldn't have left isolation, man. She would have stayed in isolation.
Yeah, because she refused a PCR test. And I think it just goes to prove, there's been a lot of people Anxious Aussie, who've said that, fighting anything through the courts is useless because, you really have no rights. But yeah, Monica, she had a win with all that crowdfunding money.
Yeah, but just going back, you don't have to do a test, etc. You're going to get mandatory 2 weeks in isolation. It doesn't matter if you do a test or not.
Yeah.
What is it? The real Anxious Aussie is in the chat. You should all be in jail.
She didn't have a TV, which I think is really steep. And they weren't.
What? They didn't give her a TV?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, and she wasn't getting the letters either. So I think that's that does make it a pretty tough 22 days. I don't know if she had great books or something like that, but taking out a TV, that's like something it's
Your
really.
TV is a lifeline in prison. That's why I behaved myself. I didn't want them to take my TV off me.
Yeah.
I was listening to other people get their TVs taken off them, and they were like nearly having a mental breakdown.
But there's also some crazy people in there that smash their own TVs and shit.
Yeah. I seen a few in there that smash their own. I go, why would you smash your own fucking TV? That's retarded. But yeah.
All right, we've been going on for an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, Tim, before we go, could you give an update on the extremist inquiry?
Still nothing. Nothing. What is that? I don't know when the report is going to be dropped. What is it? It was supposed to report in April of this year, but yeah, it's it's fallen by the wayside. And what is it? It seems that there's more pressing national security matters now with the new AUKUS alliance, and also I know that the federal government is worried about the threat that could come from a new Taliban in Afghanistan. I think I've got, what is that? Hey, see, is this the Versace Cowboy? We're on the air.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Howdy.
Versace. Versace, can you hear us?
Yeah. No.
It's too quiet.
Yeah.
I just want to wait. Marg wanted me to take back what I said before. Look, she told me she took the Pfizer, which is not a proper vaccine. Like, it's not like the AstraZeneca. So she took 2 shots of that. I don't know. I think they're all the vaccine, but she seems to think the Pfizer is acceptable. Look, that's her choice.
Sorry, can I say something on that? Because I got a friend who got an insanely high IQ, enter score in VCE, one of those 99 point something scores. He told me, I don't know if I can trust what he says, even though he got a high score and stuff. He told me that they made it appear as if this will interest you, Tim. They made it appear as if one was the old technology and the other one's the mRNA. He said to me they're actually both the mRNA.
Well, one, apparently the mRNA goes directly into your DNA, while the AstraZeneca, it's mRNA, but it doesn't have a radical change to your DNA.
Well, he said to me that one was advertised as being the old technology, like the Chinese Sinovac one or something like that, and the other one was advertised as the mRNA, but he actually says that they're actually both the same. That's what he says. I haven't bothered looking into it, but because I've heard some people say that this one's the old technology, but it's like a normal vaccine, and he doesn't think that's the case.
Yeah, no. I heard off a mate of mine. None of them are a vaccine. They shouldn't be called a vaccine, because a vaccine obviously is a little bit of the virus, and then your body beats it. They're all gene modifying injections. It has nothing to do with vaccine. They should take that word out.
It's effectively they've admitted now. Most honest health professionals have said yes, the vaccine prevents hospitalizations, or helps prevent serious illness, hospitalization, and asymptomatic infection, but it's really only a preventative injection for yourself. It only protects you. So all this it's basically all this stuff when they're still saying, oh, it protects other people as well. That's not true anymore. Vaccinated and unvaccinated are just as likely to transmit to anybody and get it from anyone vaccinated or unvaccinated. Just the vaccinated, they have less of a chance of getting seriously ill, which makes the idea of vaccine passports ultimately redundant. So this whole thing that, oh, you getting the vaccine protects me as well, that's not true anymore.
Well, Tim, yourself, you had the vaccine. I think you only told me you had a bit of a sore bone in your hip or something. But Marg took it. She's fine now. But when she first took it, half of her face was droopy and she couldn't hold her wine glass. She kept shaking, but I think that's subsided now. But some people it affects. Obviously, yourself, you were lucky.
Yeah, I heard, because what is it? The mRNA, it changes your DNA. Marg looked, one of the side effects, she looked Anglo for a couple of days.
That's impossible.
Hey Neil, this friend you're talking about, was he, when he says all of them are mRNA or whatever, is he talking about the Sinovac as well?
Yeah, it's all of them. Because the vaccine for this particular virus, I don't want to get too much into it. Tim might get shut down.
Yeah,
but all of them shouldn't be called vaccines. Because
I know that, what is it? Luke Radowski of We Are Change, which was one of the big alternate news platforms, he uses the code word state procedure. That's his code word.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I'm so upset with the government with things like this, because it's like, if they really want to save us from this pandemic, then they should be accepting all vaccines that are available, and but then saying they won't accept a Sinovac, but then accept other ones. It's just so disgusting.
Hey, Nolch, how did we get an earthquake when we're in the middle of a plate?
The plate's over in New Zealand, so it's actually New Zealand's fault that we got the earthquake.
Look, honestly, like if you when it comes to conspiracies, you always look for coincidences, because like if there's lots of coincidences, then it makes you really wonder. And that day, yesterday, there was all these coincidences. You know, it makes you go,
Yeah, this is one of the theories here, that it was Victoria Police's new tactic. And what is it? Dan Andrews claimed that, the only way to prevent future earthquakes is for everyone to be fully vaccinated. But I also believe that it was far-right extremists who caused the earthquake. And what is it? Dan also said that earthquakes don't work against this virus.
Yeah, I don't know. It totally wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they've got the HARP technology that can create earthquakes, and it's just and they made it an earthquake that caused barely any damage, but it enabled people to get all distracted and talk heaps about it and do news reports about it, so that it wasn't on the hot news topic at the moment. Because what we're going through is a giant psyop with this whole COVID thing. And so the PSYOP was starting to get hijacked by the freedom movement and head in a direction they didn't want. So they might have had to have pulled something to try and distract us all. And so, anyway.
Kresha, I did hear that there was some expert who said that because we're in lockdown, that saved a lot of people from the earthquake. So, lockdown saved lives from earthquakes as well.
Well, Dan said that if we were vaccinated prior to 2001, we could have prevented 9/11. I don't know how true that is.
What is it? Yeah, there's lots of things that could have been prevented with vaccines.
Yeah,
they're still going ahead with the tradie construction worker mandate, and they said they've got they said they had a slow take up last weekend. The deputy Cho said, but they've got lots of construction workers lined up for this weekend, and confident that they can get the industry reopen soon. The vaccine is not even mandatory for Victoria police officers yet. Shane Patton said today, oh yeah, we'll probably make it mandatory. They just out of the blue decided, right, construction workers next week.
From what I've heard, within the Victorian police, there's a bully culture. They don't have to mandate things like that in government institutions. So they just bully the workers. You don't get promotions, or people, bully you. You got to be part of the flock, yeah? If you don't get it, you're ostracized.
Yeah, it's a peer pressure sort of thing. It happened with the staff at the Church of Scientology. There was no mandate thing, but it was just the pressure of it, and it was you just have to do it. And I think they all went and did it. So
did Scientologists get the injection?
Yeah, which I found really
What?
outrageous because Scientology is based on conspiracies, and L. Ron Hubbard, the creator of the religion, would be like turning over in his grave if he found that out. But basically, the leader, it's like John Setka or whatever of the union. The leader of the group has said, you know, you got to get it or whatever. Like John Setka,
he basically said, "Oh, what is that? There was a health order to say that it's mandated, so we're just going to go along with it," which was the same like the trade unions say, we're not in favor of mandatory vaccines, but if there's a health order, then our hands are tied, we'll just go along with it, which is trade unions don't really have a history that if there's some sort of government order that they don't like, they don't really have a history of just going along with it, saying, well that's the end of that.
How long did it take them to ban smoking at construction sites? I think they fought. I think they even protested for years over that, not being able to smoke on site.
Yeah, this is how all these things started. I mean, when they freaking well banned smoking, we're in this situation because people didn't freaking well halt freeways when they did that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm so into freedom that even it's just so annoying that there was all these things that led up to where we are in this situation. People should have been refusing these things years ago.
Well, we're being groomed because in warehousing we had safety meetings and shit, yeah? And I always got a bad feeling about the way they were conducted. It seems like they're grooming you into, you know, following orders. Like you're talking about an hour-long, I tell this story all the time, an hour-long safety meeting about how to use a safety knife. It was insane. Like it's like almost they got children working for them. Like that's how they talk to you and train you.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous because I do only construction jobs like once a month, and I did one on Monday just before I went and filmed at the CFMEU headquarters. The security on this, I mean, the safety crap on this thing I went to was just ridiculous, and that was beside COVID. So imagine adding in the mask and the hand sanitizer and the QR scan, and then you have to have the jab. Add that all in, and they're already just totally super top heavy with all this safety crap, and it's outrageous, and they can't smoke and just all these things like that. But just to finish up the Scientology thing, because I got to get going. The reason why that shocks me so much is because the religion is like totally based on conspiracies. The founder didn't believe in those sorts of things. There was a heavy anti-vax vibe amongst Scientologists. Yet even in that situation, their leader sold out and said, yeah, the staff are going to get jabbed. And when I heard that, it actually was quite shocking to me because it made me go, oh my God, it's going to happen to the construction industry for sure, to the firemen, to the teachers, to just everything. To me, that was like, they're doing
it. On Wednesday, Mini Molino mandated it for teachers. It's entirely voluntary, the vaccines. You just won't be able to work or do much. With regard to what is it, you were saying, Neil, they try to get people to like used to following orders. I'm noticing with like when Victoria police officers are confronted about why you're doing what you're doing, they say, well, we're just following orders, and you know we just want a paycheck as well. Like this is this is what they always fall back on.
Yeah, they also said that at Nuremberg. Not that I was against what happened over there, but
I've got to get going. I just want to say that
before you go, Noel, do you think if George Floyd was vaccinated, do you think he could have breathed?
No. I don't. By the way, Queensland's mandated the vaccine for the police.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. I think we've said what all that needs to be said, but we have got a super chat here from the Versace Cowboy for $3.33 Australian, 333. There's nothing Triple M. That's nothing. Triple M had week-long safety meetings, but that's probably because of all that electrical equipment. But also had a guy who pissed his pants every day. what no Peter Grace.
Didn't he die?
I heard that. What is it? Because we heard that he died when he slipped down the steps of down his block of flats. There's a staircase that leads down from his flats, and he slipped actually on his own urine, and really, broken ribs and all that sort of stuff. I mean, he's already a skeleton anyway, but yeah, he managed to recover and survive. Maybe even shared he was in the same ICU ward as Dan.
Hey, sorry, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What would you define as far right?
Far right, not being not having acceptable center right mainstream views. That's what I'd. So if you're to the if you're to the right of Tony Abbott, then you're far right. Basically it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically sort of Sky News is as bad as right wing as acceptable to be, or should I say Sky After Dark.
Do you think that the freedom protests are far right?
Well, they're certainly outside of the mainstream, but they certainly get a lot more sympathetic coverage from Sky After Dark than the far right nationalist would.
All right, anyway, I got to get going.
Yeah.
All right, just in the comments, if you have any vaccine regrets, just type it in the comments, Mark, because I know you did.
I don't have any yet.
Well, you're still due for your meat injection, Tim.
I don't know what you're talking about with that.
I reckon you got to ask people about that, Tim, and they'll tell you what it means. Just ask your mum.
Tim's explosion.
Everyone's good at impersonating me.
Hey, by the way, I heard that, Tim, you're going to be replacing your real Rushkin.
Replacing him, what is it? Oh, well, I'm not Sri Lankan.
No, but with the live stream as that, you're going to be the next real Ruskin.
I haven't got that. I don't think I have the. What is it?
Tim doesn't want to be successful.
He also got quite famous with his video edits mocking Dan as well. Lots of those went viral as well. That's what he actually used to do before he did the street stuff. And what is it? I'm not very good at video editing. I need to get better at it.
I just got a text from Mark. She said, "Please, Neil, stop saying that. I told you that in private. That's not anyone else's business." I think she wanted that to be told. Maybe not.
All right. Good night, you guys. Am I allowed to say? I said guys. Well, yeah, that's whatever.
Well, that's I classify myself as an it. That's how I like to be referred to as.
All right. Good night.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
And yeah, for the record, Marg has not had the vaccine. That was just another one of Neil's regular trolls. So she definitely has not had the vaccine. She probably never will. That's it for this special edition of Tim's News Explosion. I will be back with Wilmsfront when I hopefully next week when I have a guest lined up, unless there's some more crazy news, and then there'll be a Tim's News Explosion at the regular time, 8:30 p.m. Melbourne time on the Wilmsfront channels. I'll be back tomorrow night with Trad Tasman Talk with Douay de Boer from Auckland, 6 p.m. Melbourne time on the Unshackled YouTube channel. Auckland just went from level 4 lockdown to level 3 after 5 weeks of trying to flatten the curve. Level 3 is still lockdown, but they get takeaway because under level 4, there'd been, well, a lot of people breaching the Auckland barriers to go and get McDonald's and KFC. So they'll be able to lawfully get McDonald's and KFC now. So there was where I remember, what is that? The police, they busted some criminals sneaking some KFC into Auckland. It was very scandalous there. Thank you everyone for watching. Keep checking out theunshackled.net, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.